Hello, home arcade and retro game enthusiasts. It's me, it's Michael B. In today's video, I've got some interesting news to share with you. First up, New Wave Toys. The big rumor has been they're coming out with 3/4 scale cabinets that they're going to be unveiling in Cleveland at the Cleveland Gaming Classic. However, I unfortunately do have a rumor killer for those of you who are looking forward to that news. On top of that, yesterday we got the latest games from Nintendo Switch Online for us regular peasant Nintendo Switch Online members, and let's just say, well, they're a little disappointing. And last but not least, we got some Arcade1Up news for Canadian Arcade1Up fans. One of the deluxe cabinets that we all wanted is finally coming to Canada. That's right, guys, big news video to share with you today. Some of the news is good, some of it unfortunately is not. The good news, of course, is for Canadian fans of Arcade1Up. It looks like we will be getting MK2 Deluxe. I'll have all the information on that. On top of that, then I do have some bad news, unfortunately. So, for people that were looking forward to the 3/4 scales that were rumored to be coming out from New Wave Toys that were going to be announced at the Cleveland Gaming Classic, looks like that might not be happening, and I'll show you guys the proof in just a little bit. And on top of that, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Online, what should be a no-brainer, one of the best services that you pay for and get to use through a Nintendo system, continues to disappoint. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube stuff. So guys, the Cleveland Gaming Classic is coming up in like 18 days. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to be there, and one of the prevalent rumors about the Cleveland Gaming Classic is that New Wave Toys is going to be in attendance, showing off some of their new products. And some of the rumors in the home arcade space is they're going a little bit bigger than what we expected normally with the 1/6 scale cabinets. They may in fact be doing their own 3/4 or maybe slightly a little bit bigger cabinets for us in the home arcade space to take a look at and maybe compete with Arcade1Up. Now, a lot of people have reported on this New Wave Toys rumor about them doing larger format replicate cabinets as much as a 3/4 scale or a little bit above, somewhere around that size range. I know the Tech Buzz has done a video on it, other people as well. I've even talked about it. But if you remember a couple weeks back, I had Tom on, the organizer for the Cleveland Gaming Classic. We talked a little bit about it, and we said, hold your horses, because this is a rumor that might not have any legs, and we really didn't want people to be disappointed showing up the Cleveland Gaming Classic, seeing New Wave Toys there in their booth. They're one of the sponsors, and then that announcement not happening. Well, unfortunately, we do now have more valid proof, I guess you would call it, that this rumor of the 3/4 scale cabs coming from New Wave Toys is in fact, unfortunately, just a rumor. So guys, yesterday another YouTuber by the name 6 Scale Mafia actually had Shilo on from New Wave Toys, and they did discuss the rumor that's going around in the home arcade, they call it the 1-up community, that New Wave Toys is in fact coming out with their own version of a 3/4 scale cabinet or something in that size range, something that would be a competitor to Arcade1Up. And during the actual episode, those rumors were in fact denied, and it looks like New Wave Toys is sticking with their 1/6 scale replicate. They remain committed to that form factor and committed to their current fan base. So, I mean, take that information for what you will. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can go check out the video for yourself and form your own opinion. But it looks like the New Wave Toys 3/4 scale cabs was a dream and a hope, something we all wanted, but it doesn't look like it's going to be coming to fruition, at least definitely not at the Cleveland Gaming Classic. So anyways, guys, I hate to be a buzzkill or a joy kill, Mr. Buzz Killington on this rumor. I, like you, would love to have seen it happen. I love New Wave toys. I love the Replicate line. I love their attention to detail. I love their build quality. And I would love to see something a little bit more substantial that you can stand in front of and feel like you're playing a classic arcade game. But unfortunately, it looks like there are no legs to this rumor at this time. But I mean, form your own opinion, watch the video, and decide for yourself. But for fans of 3/4 scale and larger home arcades, there is a little bit of good news, especially if you're Canadian. Way back in January at CES 2023, Arcade1Up first announced the Deluxe line of cabinets, and we asked the question, are they coming to Canada? And sure, we're getting Pac-Man, sure, we're getting Class of 1981, but at the time we were told that the Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe cab would not be making its way north of the border. That is until a couple days ago when Arlene Gower posted on the Arcade1Up Canadian fan page that the long battle with Arcade1Up with straightforward sales about convincing them to actually bring the cabinets into Canada had been successful, and the brick would be carrying the Mortal Kombat 2 Arcade1Up Deluxe cabinet. So, if you go to the brick right now, you can actually pre-order this cabinet. It lists at $649.99, so the same price as last year's Legacy cabinets. You can also take a look here. It looks like they're going to be available sometime around the middle of December to December 20th. Of course, for people that don't know, this, of course, is the new Deluxe form factor, that one-piece cabinet design. We still have not yet seen here in Canada. We should be getting Pac-Man and Class of 81 at the beginning of this month, so hopefully people will be able to get them in their home soon. They say they are in stock and ready, so we'll get our first look at the Deluxe cabs north of the border, but it's a one-piece design. These come with a sleek cabinet design. Don't forget that sleek. Light up marquee, molded coin door for authentic arcade look, dual speakers for crisp. Oh, you can feel it, the crispness. Crispness is in the air for fall. Arcade sound, BOE 17-inch color monitor, real feel joysticks and buttons, and by real feel, real shitty. Keep in mind, the buttons and sticks haven't improved really since Gen 1 or maybe Gen 3 was a little bit better, but they haven't gotten any better than that. So they're still going to be, not arcade quality, but I've never had that big a problem with them personally. Over 5 feet tall, and it comes with 14 classic games. These all have Wi-Fi connectivity, leaderboards for the score chasers, and online play. So you can play Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Tubin's awesome, Rampage, Joust, Wizard of War, which is an amazing arcade game. If you still have an iArcade and you download it and haven't played it yet, check out Wizard of Walls, the spiritual sequel, incredible game. Gauntlet, Root Beer Tapper, personal favorite of mine, Defender, but without the right joystick combination. Bubbles, also an amazing game. Paperboy, which has no business being on this cabinet without the right controls. And Clax, which I don't give a shit about. Anyways, I'm really excited for this cabinet. Personally, even though I am no longer the 3/4 scale Diva, I am now the XL Diva. This is one 3/4 scale Deluxe cabinet I'm extremely interested in picking up. I love Mortal Kombat. I really love the games list on the cabinet. It's one of the most varied and interesting games list on any Arcade1Up in my opinion. And of course, Mortal Kombat 2 is one of my favorite arcade cabinets of all time. Love the side art, so this is a Deluxe cab that I'm happy is coming to Canada and will be added to my collection. Now, last but not least, I got a little bit of disappointing news to share with you. It's kind of a compliment sandwich I'm working with in today's video. So I started with the sad news, then I had some really good news. Now I'm going back to the sad news. So Nintendo released its most recent update for Nintendo Switch Online games list for the NES, Super Nintendo, and the Game Boy. And, well, I don't know what to say. Let's just say it is really super underwhelming. So if you're one of the people with the basic Nintendo Switch Online service that only has games for the Super Nintendo, NES, and Game Boy, you know that the game offerings have been pretty terrible lately. I mean, the Game Boy, of course, we're still in the new stages, but the Super Nintendo, we haven't been getting the best games. We're getting Kirby's Star Stacker this month, which is a puzzle game import from Japan. Really, there's so many fire games on the Super Nintendo. There's just no justification for bringing in something like this. Of course, for the Game Boy, we're getting Quest for Camelot, which is a action RPG styled after The Legend of Zelda. I've never played it personally, but I've heard good things from my buddy John Riggs, so I'm interested in checking this one out. And again, Game Boy, still very early on the life cycle. We're still getting pretty good games for that. Then, of course, we move on to the Nintendo, and man, oh man, unless you wanted imports, you're not getting much this month. So we have Downtown Nitetsu March, Super Awesome Field Day. For those of you who like Super Spike V-Ball and Dodgeball, this is, of course, is coming from the same people who did River City Ransom. It's the same chibi-style characters, and, of course, you're also getting the same style gameplay. Maybe it'll be fun. And then up, we have another port that's Joy Mech Fight, and this is a Nintendo fighting game that, well, it looks like what you see on screen is what you get. I have no words to describe what we're getting in this update. And guys, I'm sorry to be really super negative here, but I mean, they are completely missing the boat with Nintendo and Super Nintendo through the Nintendo Switch Online. I don't know what it is, where it's the lower tiered system. They've already been out for a while, but it seems like they're putting in a very, and I mean very little effort into both of these libraries through the Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, obviously, it's the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo Entertainment System. These have some pretty fire libraries with some pretty awesome games that just aren't available through this service, and there's no good reason why. The only thing I can think of is that Nintendo's like, here's your budget, it's $0 to bring games online for Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, take into consideration some of the other libraries under the expansion pack. I mean, you don't even have to look that far. Just look at the last update for the Sega Genesis through the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. We got Crusaders Ascensi, one of the most expensive games for the Sega Genesis. This Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past inspired type game, one of the most desired Sega Genesis games of all time, and an absolute banger. Then, of course, we've got one of the best games of all time, Ghouls and Ghosts, on the Sega Genesis, one of my personal favorites, and maybe the best game in this franchise, in my opinion. On top of that, we got some other good-ass games. I mean, the entire library is just straight fire. Sega Genesis even has a Castlevania game and a Contra game, and if I'm not mistaken, even a Mega Man game. And guess what? There's no Mega Man games for Nintendo or Super Nintendo. Same with Contra and Castlevania, even though they're such an important part of those systems' life cycles. Anyways, I don't know what the hell is going on with Nintendo Switch Online and why they are so cruel to fans of the NES and the Super Nintendo. Put some goddamn better games on the service. It's the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. The library is massive with straight fire hits. And if you don't have any money, just look. There's lots of great titles on there. Add Kickmaster. That's a winner. That'll be great on the NES. And don't port these games in that nobody's heard of. Anyways, I don't mean to be angry. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of everything we discussed today? Of course, first up, New Wave Toys. Looks like they're not coming out with the 3/4 scale cabinets after all. Looks like the rumors were in fact just rumors. Let me know how you guys feel about that. And if New Wave Toys was in fact to release larger cabinets, would you be interested? And how much would you be willing to pay for them if the quality was as good as in the 1/6 scale? On top of that, if you're a Canadian fan, are you excited that we're getting MK2 Deluxe? And if so, are you going to be pre-ordering one or picking one up from the brick? And last but not least, if you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, let me know in the comments, are you happy with the Nintendo Switch Online libraries for the NES and the Super Nintendo? And are you happy with the games they've been releasing lately? Anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.